Leonardo was very clear how he wanted Mona Lisa to be. He wanted to pull the entire attention of the viewer to her face. Once she had our attention, he wanted us to see her as a self-assured woman, which was more lifelike. Then she would start teasing us with her smile, eyes, and create an illusion of motion. In this lecture, let us look at how Mona Lisa grabs our attention. Let's take a look at this work. It is an excellent example of Borat style of dynamic composition, the elevation of cross created by the Belgian artist Peter Rubens in the 16th century. There is so much asymmetry and imbalance in this work that gives a strong sense of dynamism. Our eyes are restlessly following the line that gives a sense of motion. There is no repetition of parts, and in fact, the background of the first and the second images are darker than the one on the right. The setting is dark and restless as the group of spectators, soldiers, horses, and the strained bodies of the executioners surround the soon to be crucified Christ. And dynamic composition brings in the right emotion. But Da Vinci does the exact opposite with Mona Lisa. He wanted us to be calm, relaxed, and give our undivided attention to Mona Lisa's face, and this is the metric we will be focusing throughout this lecture: focus. He achieves it by using a pyramid style composition where subject's body forms a triangle that pulls our attention to her face. The pattern is balanced and symmetrical, unlike the previous work, making it easy for the human eye to follow. The style focuses strongly on unity, while dynamic composition that we saw in the previous work creates a sense of motion by using contrasting objects in unbalanced manner that gives a sense of motion. So, we will digitize this part by using the principle called as symmetry. Let's look at Mona Lisa's clothing and compare it to some of the commissioned portraits, like for example Maria I of Portugal or Elizabeth I of England. Unlike these two portraits, Mona Lisa is in plain simple clothes without any ornaments or anything flamboyant. The reason is Da Vinci eliminated all distractions to ensure we have all our attentions only on her face, and the digitization principle used here is called separation. Again, unlike the full-size portraits of Maria I or Elizabeth I, Leonardo opted to go for a 3/4 size. He knew a full-size portrait would have diluted the significance of her face. The digitization principle used here is size. Look at the glow on her face. Another key factor that pulls our focus towards a face is the use of colors. He uses a technique called as chiaroscuro, which in Italian translates to light and dark. These are two circles on a piece of paper trying to depict a sphere. The problem is it does not tell us the direction from which the light is coming from, nor the details of the surface of the sphere. As we start giving shades of dark and light to the canvas, it creates more depth and starts to bring in more information. We can now get a sense of direction of the source of light and also know more about the surface of the sphere. This is how chiaroscuro works. Da Vinci uses the same technique of using dark and light colors on Mona Lisa. When we have a closer look, it can be seen that Leonardo chooses to use dark shades of blacks and browns around the face that contrast with Mona Lisa's lighter skin. In fact, this gives her a soft glow from inside, as though there is a light source within that is illuminating her face and hands. This is what makes her face stand out, making the atmosphere of the picture darker and somewhat more intimidating and mysterious. We can now digitize chiaroscuro. We have digitized the thought process, and it's time to train Athena to solve some business problems using these digitized principles. Here is a simple process. We have a customer who is hungry and he enters a restaurant. He looks at the menu, and this is where the problem is. He scrolls through multiple pages and sections in the menu and he's confused. It's really hard for him to decide because he has to process a lot of information. And he makes a hasty decision and goes ahead and places the order. He's not too happy with the meal that was provided to him. and he gives a bad feedback. Now, if you look at it, the problem is not with the meal that was provided. The reason is because it was really hard for him to decide what he wants to eat because there was too much information for him to process. So, the way we are going to improve this particular process step is let's go and choose the metric that we want to improve, that is the focus and attention. And now, let's ask Athena to think like Da Vinci. Now, as we are going to be redesigning the menu, that is our key goal here. I'll go to digital transformation again and UI UX, and we have a lot of ideas that we got from the digitization of Mona Lisa's face used by Da Vinci. So let's go and add all this information into our cart and then come back and review each one of these and see how we are going to redesign the entire menu. This is a standard customer menu where the customer would restlessly go through multiple sections in the menu. Is there a way we can improve the customer experience by redesigning the menu? Let us look at the ideas generated by Athena based on the principles that we trained her on. Separation. And the ideas we got are two. The first one being eliminate elements that would distract the user, eliminate scope of the content that would dilute the key business objective. Similarly, for the principle symmetry, the idea is if the content has hierarchy, use visual weights on the elements by value proposition. Create a pattern of focal points to get maximum attention on the most dominant elements according to the value proposition. And lastly, for the principle Chiaroscuro, the idea is use contrasting colors and sizes to modify visual weights of the content. We have redesigned the entire menu based on the three principles used by Da Vinci. To start with, we have eliminated all the icons that were distracting the customer. We have used a standard pyramid style composition where the entire focus of the customer is pulled into the sections of the menu due to brighter shades on the top. And finally, we have the options available under each section which has a lighter shade in the bottom. Similarly, it is hard for the stakeholders to consume the information in this dashboard as they struggle restlessly searching from where to begin and which chart to look at. Similarly, we have redesigned our dashboard. By modifying and fitting it into a pyramid style composition, the entire attention is now on the pie chart. Then our focus shifts towards the gauge charts, and then we have the color coded table that has the supporting data for each of the elements in the pie chart. Even after hundreds of years, we still use the principles of Mona Lisa to grab the attention and the focus of our customers. See you in the next episode with another great artwork. Till then, have a wonderful day.